We've come a long way together over the last year. Now we need everybody, we need you to get vaccinated and help put COVID behind us once and for all. It's time for everyone to say they've rolled up their sleeves and gotten their vaccinations. COVID vaccines are safe and effective. Everyone in the Benjamin family has now been vaccinated, even our youngest. Just like we've done, and just like so many others across the Midlands, it is important to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Once you've gotten fully vaccinated, you'll know you've done your part in helping everyone get safely back together again. Take a look, see how easy that was. Vaccinations are free and available from great community partners all across the Midlands. Getting our city and all of our communities back to normal is almost within reach. We're almost there. This is your shot, Columbia.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Happy Friday. It's Faith Friday on Coping with COVID, and that means we are bringing you stories to inspire, motivate, and encourage you. And today is a story that will do just that. Our guest today has triumphed over the tragedy of a terrible accident. We're going to talk to Adrian Wright a little bit later on this afternoon. He joins us here now about his amazing story of how he's recovered and is recovering. Adrian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hear a little feedback. So if you can turn your volume down on your computer a little bit, okay, I think that'll be great. We're going to come right back in just a minute and talk more to Adrian Wright on Faith Friday on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. Nephron Pharmacy is expanding. The Lexington County company is investing $100 million in a facility to create medical grade gloves. Now, the decision in response to the shortage of PPE during the pandemic will create 250 new jobs. To apply, visit the company website at nephronfar.com/careers. You can see it on the screen right now. MUSC has fired 5 employees for refusing to get the COVID vaccine. The hospital informed employees in April that the policy was being implemented and set a deadline of June 30th to comply unless there was a religious or medical reason not to. Now, MUSC said, given the pandemic, the variants, and the CDC's strong recommendation, they decided the policy was necessary. And South Carolina State University is canceling the debt for over 2,500 students. The $9.8 million is being covered with funds received from the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan. Now, the school's new acting president, Colonel Alexander Condors, says it was important to help students who would have been unable to return to school due to the financial hardships that the pandemic caused. I'm Tre Tailor. You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Visit scdheck.gov for an up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing, COVID vaccines, and more. scdheck.gov. Also, Kroger Pharmacies is offering COVID vaccines. Check the screen for details. CVS and the CVSs that are located in Target stores are also offering the COVID vaccine. And if you or someone you know is having some challenges making an appointment to get a COVID vaccination because they're a little, I guess they would be not medically, but electronically challenged, Get Set Up is helping seniors make their COVID appointments. See the information on the screen about Get Set Up. Now, the Comet bus system is also helping folks to get their COVID vaccines. Not only can you get a COVID vaccine at the actual Comet location at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Street. You see that information there, but you can catch the Comet to get your vaccine for free. Don't miss your shot. Catch the Comet for more information about COVID vaccinations. FEMA is continuing to offer reimbursement for those people who passed away for funeral expenses. Check the FEMA website for more information. And there are several organizations that are still offering bill payment assistance, not only your rent, but your mortgage and also your electricity bills. Richland County SC.gov has a bill payment assistance program, and Dominion Energy and SC Housing has a bill payment assistance program. You can see that information on the screen. SC Housing also is helping frontline workers with their home buying program. The City of Columbia is continuing their 6-month payment plan for water bills. They'll give you payment assistance up to 75% off. And you've got another month until August 15th to register for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. You can not only get your insurance, you can also qualify for a subsidy. Now, this applies to folks who have already gotten their insurance. Check the website, signupsc.org for more information, even if you have already gotten your insurance, to see if you qualify. There are several jobs available, and you will see that information scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. We mentioned Nephron Pharmacy, but also Palomir is also doing a job fair. And the South Carolina Department of Mental Health, you can see that information there. The South Carolina Department of Mental Health has launched SC Hopes. It's there to help people cope with COVID. Please take advantage of that service if you or someone you know needs it. Now, the statewide summer feeding program is continuing actually till next month. It's eligible for school-aged children regardless of where they attend school. We've got some information scrolling at the bottom of the screen for the statewide feeding program where you can find out the nearest location to you. Now, what's going to happen actually throughout the show, check the bottom of the screen because we will be scrolling all of the information that we just mentioned and so much more. There's so many resources that are available due to COVID. And listen, even though we're out and about and masks are off, there are still people that are experiencing some challenging situations due to COVID. So COVID testing, COVID vaccines, financial information, bill payment information, job information, all of that and so much more will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. Please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. The Tailor-Made Production page on Facebook is the home for Coping with COVID. You can like and follow that. And also, you'll get notifications on when to watch Coping with COVID, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. and first Monday with Fun Friday with comedian George Wallace. We also have a presence on YouTube. I want to say hi to all of you YouTubers watching. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And also we have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Don't forget to like and follow and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. And if you have a question, please post it in the comment section and we'll make sure your question gets answered. It's Faith Friday. It's a time to motivate, inspire, and encourage through stories of faith. Adrian Wright was a long-distance cycler who enjoyed riding with his wife and a cycling group. The Columbia, South Carolina native and former South Carolina State Marching 101 band member has also been a band director at Dillon High School for over 20 years. On his 43rd birthday last year, he decided to celebrate by taking his first 50-mile ride. Later that day, he and his family wondered if that would actually be his final birthday after a hit-and-run accident left him on the side of the road. Adrian is celebrating more birthdays and a renewed life. He shares how his tragedy turned his life into triumph today on Faith Friday. Hey, Adrian, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, how did you become interested in riding?
I never thought I would be interested in riding. So what happened was I had, during the pandemic, trying to find things to occupy my time, and I started back getting into fitness, lifting weights. And I was talking to a friend. I was telling him, I was getting better with the different exercises I was doing, but I needed to find a way to cut down on some body fat. So he suggested I get in some cardio. So I started thinking, I was like, what can I do? What can I do? So at the time, my wife had like 2 or 3 bikes in the garage. So I was like, well, I'll just take one of the bikes out, ride it for a few minutes and get my cardio in that way. And I started out just doing like 1 mile, and 1 mile led to 3 miles, and that led to 6. And then I tried 10, and then I was hooked. I took what I consider my first long ride. I rode from Dillon to Latta and back. And then when I got back into town, I rode around a little bit. And I think altogether I ended up doing about 20 miles that day.
Wow.
From that on, I was hooked. And my wife knew the wife of a guy that rode with a group, and they would ride on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And so I said, why don't you, tell them about me, tell them I want to ride with them. So she was like, Adrian, I don't think you want to ride with them. They really ride. You can't hang with them. I was like, just tell them I ride. And she was like, well, you don't have the right bike, and da. I said, a bike is a bike. I can hang with them. And so she was like, okay.
Is a bike though, Adrian? Now that you started riding, is a bike a bike?
Not all the time. It depends on what you're doing with
it. Right. Because I interviewed a couple of riders, a couple earlier in the year, and you got to have the right shoes, you got to have the right bike. So I was like, that ain't me. I just want to ride bike. You know what I mean? But you took it to the next level. I was so impressed because you did progress from 12 miles to 40 miles in a really short time. So you were really in there.
Yeah. Like I said, I got hooked. And so when I finally met up with these fellas, like I said, they rode on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And so when we first started riding, I was the slow man in the group. So a lot of times they'll be slowing down and let me catch up. And but they were averaging between 30 to 35 miles a ride. First few times we went out, we probably did like 24, 25, and then they worked me up to 30. But just riding with them and talking to those guys and meeting other cyclists, I just fell in love with it. What
is it about riding that you enjoy? What is it?
It's a sense of freedom. It's hard to explain. You just got to do it to understand. But it's a sense of freedom. Being out in nature. We would ride in the early mornings. We would meet up at like 5:30. So we got a chance to see the sunrise in different settings. We ride a lot of backcountry roads. So, sometimes you pass in farms and you see the animals out in the morning. So it's just real scenic views, and it's just real relaxing.
Right. So your 43rd birthday, you decided you were going to ride for your first time, 50 miles?
Yes.
And you wanted to do it by yourself?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would have did it with anybody else, but the guys I ride with, they all had to work that morning. And it was something that had been itching at me to do, something I wanted to accomplish. And I figured, why not do it as a way to celebrate my birthday. There was a cycling group on Facebook, and I saw a lot of people, that's how they would celebrate their birthday, by either riding the number of miles of their age, or riding riding like a half century, which is 50 miles, or a century, which is 100 miles. And so the 50 miles is one of the things on my bucket list. So I was like, well, today is the day. Let's go get it. And so that's I attempted to do.
Yeah. So tell me about that day. You're riding.
Yeah. So I was riding, and I had a buddy of mine, Rodney, who had shared a wealth of knowledge with me about riding, and I told him what I was planning to do. So he had given me some tips, and so right before I left, I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, I'm about to go out, try to do this first half century. And so I had ridden about 15 or 16 miles or so, and so I stopped to take a break, checked my cell phone, and I had a message from him. He was telling me, make sure you stay hydrated, drink before you're thirsty, eat before you're hungry, take your time, pace yourself, blah, blah, blah. So, I told him, how many miles I had done already. I was on a break. I was getting ready to get back on.
How many miles had you done at that point?
I was about 15, 16 miles.
Okay. And where were you riding? Were you just riding around Dillon?
Around Dillon County. So I just left my neighborhood and went out to what's called 301. It's the main highway that runs through Dillon, and it runs down to Latta, South Carolina, about 8 to 10 miles away. So I ridden into Latta and had gotten off onto some back roads, and I stopped in the area called Temperance Hill. And then I took the break and messaged Rodney back, and a couple of people had texted me happy birthday, so I responded to them. And I got back on the bike. I rode maybe another 6 or 7 miles, and that brought me back into Dillon. I took a short 2-3 minute break, got some hydration, and then continued on. And was on this one back road, and I was coming to a stop sign where I was planning to take a break, and I was questioning myself whether I should, because to my left was this Rottweiler that wasn't tied up. He was just sitting in the yard, and he stood up, and I started praying. I was like, please don't come out here after me. But he stayed put, and so I took a break at that stop sign and kept my eye on the dog to make sure he wasn't coming for me.
Right.
Some more people had texted me happy birthday at that point, so I responded to them. And then at that point, I think I had done maybe 29 or 30 miles or so, and so I was gearing up. I was what I had called at the time the home stretch.
Right, I was gonna say, because you were over halfway to your goal of 50.
Yep, and I was getting ready to turn on what they call Highway 34. Which is where the accident occurred. And there's a car had flew down. I waited on them to pass. A truck was coming. I waited on them to pass, and another vehicle. And it was clear, and I said, okay, I'm gonna get on the road now. And so I'm pedaling along, and a couple of cars passed by, and I passed through an area that I was familiar with, and saw some houses and whatnot, and came around the curve. And was enjoying the scenery, some pretty fields, trees and whatnot. A dump truck had passed by, and then next thing you know, I was laying in the field, and the guy was asking me if I was okay.
Oh my gosh! So that's the last thing you remember was the dump truck, the fields, and then nothing.
Yeah.
So you didn't even see the car?
No. So I got hit from behind. So I had no knowledge of the vehicle, or what it looked like, or anything like that.
Oh my God! So you're down, you're on the ground, and somebody's saying, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. So he asked me if I was okay, and I told him, I said, yeah, I think I'm all right. I'm just a little winded. I just need a moment to get my composure together. And he asked me again, he said, are you okay? And I told him the same thing. And then
now, was this somebody who had driven up, Adrian?
So what I found out later, it was a guy and his nephew. Interesting story. to show you the power of God. They lived in the area, and they had went to a convenience store. The nephew wife had requested that he bring her a cup of coffee. So he went and got the cup of coffee, and they were planning to go to Lakeview, which is another town in Dillon County. And the road that they were planning to take would not have took them by me. But the guy told his nephew, he was like, if you don't take that coffee to your wife while it's hot, she gonna fuss you out when you get back home. So you better take that coffee now. And so because he listened and took that coffee, then they had to turn on the road that I was on. And just so happened that just before they passed me, they saw the vehicle that hit me, zoom down the road. And the guy thought it was strange. Said that it was a truck that had a lot of mud and whatnot on it, and the side view mirror was missing, and it had a window that was busted out. And so he passed by. They passed by me, and he told his nephew, turn the truck around. Something don't look right. Let's go check on him, see what's going on. And then that's when he found me laying in the field.
Oh my God. It's Faith Friday on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. We're talking to Adrian Wright as his triumph over its tragedy story. You can see the pictures. If you're just joining us, please don't forget to watch the replay and post and share this information out, because he is telling us an amazing story of how he survived a near fatal hit and run accident. He was on a bicycle. Someone was in a truck, and still don't know who it is. Right, Adrian?
Well, they later found him.
Did they find him? Okay, let's wait. Yeah. Pause right there, because I want to. And he started bicycling. Wanted to ride 50 miles on his 43rd birthday. Got hit by the car. He was almost home. He was in his second half. Had already done over half of his 50 miles that he wanted to do for his 43rd birthday. And thank God, someone, by the grace of God, who wasn't going to go this way, went this way and found him. We're looking at the pictures right now, Adrian, of some of your recovery pictures. Now, you had collapsed lung, kidney damage, fractured vertebrae, and then you ended up having to have your leg amputated.
Yes. Also had a torn rotator cuff and a separated shoulder.
So he really hit. I mean, so it was a big SUV. I mean, it just, man. And so when they ask you, so you must have blacked out for a minute. You must have blacked out, because you don't even know how long it was that they came up, and then they asked you, are you okay? So you weren't, because you kept saying, I'm okay. I just need to get my bearings straight. Sir, you weren't okay. So how are you feeling at that moment?
I tell people, they are in amazement. Like that entire day, I felt no pain. I had no clue the extent to my injuries at all. It wasn't until later, weeks later, that my wife told me everything that happened. So when the guy, like the second time that he asked me was I okay, I could see my bicycle off in the distance in the field. And so I said, I told him, I said, I think I'm gonna get up and try to get my bicycle and I'll be all right. And he told me, he said, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you just need to lay here for a minute and wait till help comes. And I didn't argue with him, so I said okay. And I saw he had looked at me kind of funny and looked at my body, and I figured, something must be wrong.
Must be wrong, yeah.
But I didn't know what. And then, like I said, I didn't feel any pain or anything. So, and later I found out.
Did the doctor say you were in shock? Your body was in shock?
Probably was. I don't know. But I found out later on that I had been out there quite some time. They're not sure exactly how long. But hypothermia had set in by the time they found me.
Oh, Adrian.
And so the guy told me that he called EMS, and then after that, he asked me, was it anybody else that he wanted me to call? And I told him my wife, and I gave him the number. And so he called her. And then after that, I blacked out. And he told me that he laid his jacket over me to try to warm me up a little bit. And
Because
then
this was in what month? What month was this?
it was in December.
So it was cold.
Yeah, December 21st. It was probably in the 40s that day. Because we usually don't ride below like 43, 44, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I woke up and I heard EMS and the police officer. I could hear the conversations going back and forth between different people. And then I blacked out again. And the next thing I remember, I woke up in the emergency room in Dillon. And my wife had came in, and I was telling her I was fine, you know, wasn't anything to worry about. And in my mind, you know, it was just a little bump and go type accident. I still didn't know what had actually happened to me, but I didn't think it was anything major. I figured I was gonna call one of my homeboys and we was gonna joke and laugh about the whole thing. Maybe I'll be out of commission for 2-3 weeks and then I'll be back at it. And it just so happened one of the guys I ride with, he actually works at the hospital. And when he heard that I was there, he came down to check on me. And he was just telling me, you know, everything's gonna be all right. You know, we're gonna be praying for you, blah, blah, blah. And then my wife asked him, you know, do you think he's gonna be okay? He was like, yeah, sure. You know, we got some good doctors here. They're gonna take care of him, yada, yada, yada. And so she was like, well, what about his foot? And she showed him my foot, and he kind of turned to the side, and I could see the tears coming welling up in him. And that's when I knew that it was something serious. Yeah.
So they ended up amputating.
Yeah. So like that whole process is kind of weird to me. I was in and out of consciousness, and I experienced a lot of dreams that once I regained consciousness, I thought were real. It kind of messed me up for a little while. What I found out later on is some of the dreams were not dreams per se. It was just I was just in and out. I was so heavily sedated with medication. And so that was a weird experience.
What were the dreams? What were the dreams, Adrian?
Some of them you'll laugh at, some of them you'll cry, but it's a bunch of them. Like I actually had a couple of dreams where one dream was weird. I was in this like bubble, and I was spinning in this bubble, and it was pushing me to like this viewing area, and I was in this like this big church, and I was there to look at my funeral. And people started coming in. You know, everybody was dressed in their traditional black, and I was like, "No, I can't. This can't be for me." You know, I just started praying, and a song just came. I don't even know what the song was, but I just started singing and singing and singing. I was like, "Lord, no, it's not my time. It's not my time." And then the people, as they started, they filled half of the church, and then they just started going back out. And then I came from out of that viewing area, and then somehow, this is the funny part, I guess, I ended up getting pushed back into my hospital room. Mm. And then there was another instance where I was at a funeral. It was in Columbia. It was like a New Orleans style funeral, and they had this big parade for me, and some of my friends from Columbia that are musicians, they were playing Just a Closer Walk with Thee, and we had a procession and everything. So it was just a variety of different dreams.
Yeah. Gary Hunter says, may God bless you and use your testimony for others. Thank you, Gary, so much for watching. Please continue to post and share this message out. It's Faith Friday, and we're talking to Adrian Wright, talking about his story of how he survived a near fatal hit and run crash when someone hit him on his bike. When we come back, we're going to talk about Adrian's recovery, some of his thoughts and prayers and scriptures that he used to get him through, and what's next for Adrian, and of course, how you can help. We'll be right back. I'm Tre Tailor. We're talking to Adrian Wright, and it's Faith Friday.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic, and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by SCDHEC. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing and vaccination sites and info to help protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together, SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Visit columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, visit Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. The Comet Bus System, a fast, fun, friendly transit system that can take you anywhere you want to go in the Midlands. So don't miss your shot. Catch the Comet and get a free ride to get your COVID vaccine. Visit catchthecomet.gov. Javis Tax Services, South Carolina's premier full-service financial provider with over 20 years of experience. Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. And Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. Call Daniel for honest, professional, reliable, and knowledgeable computer sales and service. Coping with COVID from SCDHEC. In it together, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Services, the Comet Bus System, Palmetto Media Connections, Javis Financial Services, and Computers Unique.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
How will you remember the year 2020?
COVID.
Losing my job.
Working 12-hour shifts in a mask.
Losing my grandma to COVID.
COVID has claimed thousands in South Carolina and strained our health system, schools, businesses, and families. If you're struggling and need to talk, call SC Hopes. That free call can help put you in touch with people who can help. This goes for healthcare workers, teachers, restaurant employees, parents, anyone and everyone. SC Hopes, mental health and addiction support for challenging times.
I'm Tre Tailor. You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Hey, please post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. We are streaming live on YouTube. We also have a presence on our Facebook and Instagram. Actually, on Facebook, the Tailor Made production page is the home of Coping with COVID. So please go over there and hit like, follow, and share. And check out Coping with COVID Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. And then on First Monday with comedian George Wallace. It's Faith Friday, and we bring you stories of encouragement, inspiration, and motivation. Today, we're talking to Adrian Wright. He's been sharing with us his miraculous story of how he survived really a near fatal crash. It was his 43rd birthday last December. He was riding his bike to commemorate it, and then it was a hit and run accident. Adrian, you said that they finally did find the person who hit you.
Yes, they found him later that day. The man that came to my aid was able to give a description of the vehicle to law enforcement. He had the color kind of off, but because of the other descriptors he had, as far as the side view mirror being broken and the broken window, they were able to put two and two together and find the young man.
Yeah. Julian Wright says he is truly inspired by his big brother. Hey, Julian, thank you so much for joining us. Please post and share this information. Now, you should be inspired because this is such an inspirational story. Because, listen, Adrian, you don't look like the saying says, you don't look like what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a lot. Tell us about your recovery. How did you get through it? Because you had a long road and you're still traveling that road to recovery.
Yes. It's been hard. But I think my faith and to some degree, mental stamina has helped a lot. But prior to the accident, I came across either a video or something I read where it was talking about a thermostat versus thermometer mindset. And so what it was saying is you could be a thermostat where you set the atmosphere, or you can be a thermometer where you react to the atmosphere. And so what happened one day while I was in, it's like my first day or two having my cell phone back, and somebody texted me and was like, "Hey, bro, I'm just checking in on you. How are you doing?" And I really wasn't having a great day that day. And I started to type exactly how I was feeling, and I thought about it. It's like, I'm not going to let how I feel right now define my day or how this journey will be. So my response was, I'm great. How's everything with you? And so I purposely told myself that, anytime somebody asked me how I was doing, that was going to be my response, and that I was going to do my best to believe that response. And so that's kept me, quote unquote, sane through all of this, and kept me from, I guess, getting real down about it, because it's easy to get down. When you think about everything, but just trying to quote unquote set the atmosphere. That mindset has helped a lot.
Right.
And then some things that my grandmother instilled in me. She would always say, in all things, give thanks. Thanks to God.
Yeah. And
she would stress that in all things, portion of that. So that helped set the foundation for the journey that I'm on right now.
It looks like in one of these pictures you were back on a bike of some sort.
Yeah. So me and my mom was having a conversation with my wife a while back, and I was just reflecting, and I was telling her how since the moment I was hit, God has been blessing me. Just the story of how those two fellas came travel that road that day to find me. And so while I was in rehab, on my way to a therapy session, I got a text message from a guy at the bike shop in Florence, Field Bicycle World in Florence. But in my Jeff texted me, and he said, "Hey, Adrian, there's this lady came in. She had a bicycle that she wanted to sell. And I told her about your story, and she's willing to donate it to you. Do you want it? And he sent me pictures of it. And so it was the hand cycle that you see in the picture.
Yeah. This is amazing. So have you been riding that? This is a picture of you and your wife, and I guess your son.
That's my nephew, Drew. Yeah, he's a character, but he's been a caretaker as well for me. He's been on my beck and call, so that's my nephew. But the last time I actually rode that was sometime in March, I want to say. Late March, early April. I've actually been back on a regular bicycle since then.
Really?
Yeah.
Before you get to that, I want to shout out Mimo3. He says, Adrian Wright, we love you, our Superman, from Miranda and Cedric. Thank you guys so much for joining us also. Please continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because this is really an amazing story about Adrian Wright and his journey after his near fatal accident. So you've been back on a regular bike. Tell me about that experience.
So I had been itching to get on it. My wife, not so much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I had befriended a few people that were amputees, and one of them is this guy named Roger. He lives in Australia, and he works with this program, or started this program called Ability to Ride. And so with that program, he helps amputees or other adults that want to ride a bike but have no experience with it. And so we had been talking, and he showed me some videos of how he had helped different people learn to ride a bike. And I told him I wanted to get back on the bike. So he was like, the best thing to do is, get two of your friends, or as he says, mates. And you get one on opposite sides of you, and then they will hold your shoulders and kind of run with you as you learn to get your balance and everything on the bike. So I had my wife and a friend, Austin, and we were just in the front yard on the grass, just in case I fell or anything, I wouldn't be on concrete or anything like that. And so I think Austin was on my left side and my wife was on my right side. And so we rode to one end of the yard and turned and went to the other end and turned. And then we stopped, and it was like, you did good. And I was like, yeah, let's do it again. And so we did it again. And then maybe like the second time around, I said, I think I got it. Y'all can let go. And but they still held on and still holding my shoulders. And I was like, I think I got it. Y'all can let go. And then I started speeding up, and I left him. And so I was riding around the yard on my own. And I could see the look in my wife's face. I know she wanted to have some choice words with me at that
like,
point.
Negro, you ain't really back on the bike, guys.
Yeah, so that was my, I want to say that was in April. That was my first time back on the bike.
How did it feel?
I was like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
People look at me strange when I say it, but it's actually it's easier to ride a bike than it is to walk with a prosthetic leg. And then it goes back to, when you asked me earlier, it's just a sense of freedom that you get, and having the wind in your face, and it's just something you can't replace.
Yeah. Pastor Rye Wallace says, amazing miracle, miraculous journey. Daryl says, you're his hero. And CEO Ashley Nicole says, right strong. Love you, Adrian. Thank you guys so much for watching Coping with COVID. It's Faith Friday. We're talking to Adrian Wright, telling us about his story of just miraculous recovery after what could have really been a near fatal car accident. Adrian, I love what you said. Your grandmother says that you have to be thankful in all things, because as you said, there were so many blessings. Even though this was a terrible thing, there was, like you said, there were so many blessings within this tragedy. And when stuff like this happens, you have to realize, okay, God, what's going on here? Tell me about some of the scriptures, thoughts, some of the things that keeps and kept your mood up and lifted.
Well, that scripture, I think it's Thessalonians 5:18. You know, in all things,
work together for good.
And so that's been my, you know, the one that keeps coming back. And then I had a visit by a young lady. We had a conversation, and she was telling me about a tough time that she had been through in her life. And she was like, you know, when things like this happen to us, we often ask the question, why me?
Why? Yeah.
And she said, but the question that we should be asking is, why not me?
Yeah.
And, you know, she said, you know, bad things happen to people all the time. So what makes me different or special that they can't happen to me? And so that I go back to that conversation a lot when I start having self-doubt and different things. And I think about my grandmother. I think about my father. My father was a fighter. You know, he had a pacemaker put in once, and like he was home, and then I mean, but like 2 or 3 days after being home, he was out in the yard raking leaves. You know, my mom trying to call me to get him to stop. So he never let anything get him down, and so I just try to pattern myself after that.
Yeah. Also, there was a surprise concert by your students. Of course, you were for over 20 years the band director at Dillon High School. Tell me about that. I know that was amazing. And of course, as I said earlier, you were a member of the legendary Marching 101, South Carolina State University.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise. I actually had some of my friends that I marched in the band at South Carolina State.
Oh, wow.
Were at the surprise concert and played with the kids. But so they were able to get some of the students from Dillon, I think it was Darlington, and Marlboro County High School came together for the surprise concert at the rehabilitation center. And what's crazy about it is, so my wife knew about it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and I had no clue. Like the night before, I had just told her the night before, I was like, man, I miss my kids. I miss, hearing from my students and blah, blah, blah. And, she knowing all that, she didn't let on a word that something was happening. And so I was at my last therapy session for that day, the day that they actually did the concert. And one of the gentleman that helped put it together, Cedric Page, I saw him through the window, but I didn't know it was him. I saw a guy, and I was like, man, that looked like Cedric. I was like, Cedric wouldn't be. He has no reason to be here.
Right.
So I continued to do my workout, and then I saw him come across different direction, and he held his hands out, and he kind of did like that. And I was like, man, I think that's Cedric. That's how he do his fingers. And so I think by that time, the therapist realized that they was getting set up. So he put me on this little hand cycle machine thing. And I hate that machine. I always fall asleep when I do it. So he put me on that, and I'm going, he's like, you got 15 minutes, and blah, 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 blah. And so after the 15 minutes was done, he whisked me out of the therapy session on a wheelchair. And I was like, why is he going so fast today? So he whisked me out of there, and they took me up to my room. When I got in my room, my wife came in. She's like, how you feeling? I was like, man, I'm tired. I said, I need to take a nap. So I got in the bed and I laid down. And maybe like 15 minutes later, she was like, you feel like getting up? I need to take you. I need to show you something. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I didn't want to, but I was like, okay. And so I got in the wheelchair, and she started rolling me into the little snack room. And the snack room leads out to a balcony. Mm-hmm. And so the door to the balcony was open. And I could hear the kids playing their instruments as we got to the snack room. And I was like, what's going on? And then when we finally made it out the door, I saw everybody in the little courtyard area.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by that. And a lot of my coworkers and friends showed up too to support me. So.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Angela Carr Patterson says, Adrian is such a blessing to us all. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says, great inspirational story. And Cedric Page, who does his hand like that, he says, Adrian is also a terrific gardener as well. He said, this man does it all. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And please continue to post and share this information out today as we celebrate the amazing strength, resilience, and courage of Adrian Wright. So, Adrian, what's next for you, and is there something that people can do to help you?
Well, I'm still on my journey or road to recovery. Like I said, mentioned earlier, I had a separated shoulder and torn rotator cuff in my right shoulder. So either next month or September, I anticipate having surgery to repair that. I meet with the surgeon again. August 2nd, and we'll get a date for that. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that's about a five month recovery for that. So prayers for that, that it goes well. There's a website that was started in my honor by a group called Right Hearts. It's rightstrong.org, www.rightstrong.org. And at that site, you can contact me. You can see I have a blog that I do, and you can follow my blog. There's also an events page for different fundraisers that they have going on to help pay for some of my medical expenses, and some apparel that you can purchase as well.
Right. And we're looking at that now, the information on the website. Scott to Omega says Iron Man. Thank you so much, Scott, for your for watching this and for your shout out to Adrian. So Adrian, you got the surgery in September, and then of course you said 4 more months of surgery after that. You've already been back on a bike, so you know you're good with that. You want to get back to teaching, to being the band director, teaching your kids at Dillon High School?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to get back in the classroom. Kind of cautious and nervous about it. Just being in that environment with my having the prosthetic leg and getting used to getting around and different things like that. But looking forward, most of all, to being able to work with the kids again and see my coworkers.
Yeah, absolutely. Log on to the website. Angela Carr Patterson says, Right Strong. Log on to the website. Please do whatever you can do to help Adrian Wright, and so that he can continue on his road to recovery. Adrian, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being an example of God's love and his blessings, and seeing the blessing in this tragedy. Thank you for triumphing over tragedy, like the name of the story is. Anything else that you want to share with us today?
Just what I tell my students every day, and we recite this. It's a philosophy that I've been using. It's called PUSH, which stands for persevere until something happens. Mm-hmm. And you do that every day.
Right. Persevere until something happens. PUSH. Austin Green says, Right Strong. Angela Carr Patterson says he's an absolutely wonderful man. And Adrian, you certainly are. Thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I want to say hi and thank you to Mitchell Peace Joy Jen for sharing your story with me, so that we can share the story with others, not only to celebrate you, but to celebrate your faith, celebrate your perseverance and your endurance, and to share for someone else that tragedies happen, but good things can come out of it. It has everything to do with how you shift your mind and your focus on what is good about the situation, as you said. Thank you, Adrian. Good luck to you. God bless. And thank you, Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says you're welcome. Thank you so much. Good luck. God bless. And please let me know if there's anything else that I personally or professionally can do to help. You see the information about Right hearts. More information about Adrian, his story, his blog, as he mentioned, and how you can support him. And I'm sure he will agree with me. Whatever donation you can make, nothing will be too big and certainly not too small. Adrian Wright, thank you again so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
All right. You're welcome. I'm Tre Tailor, and you have been watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Well, before we go, I want to share with you about a legend that has passed away. William Bill Terrell was a personal mentor of mine because I grew up with him, as many of you did, watching Job Man Caravan. Here's a little bit of what you may have watched just like me.
My gracious, hey, will you ushers in the balcony have all the Job Man Caravan viewers, bring them down front. Because on this particular program, there's no room in the balcony for you, our viewers. We want all of you to have front row seats here on the award-winning Job Man Caravan.
Bill Terrell hosted, produced, and created the longest-running TV series on SCE-TV for years. Job Man Caravan was a groundbreaking on-site and in-studio show featuring national music acts while giving information on job opportunities and advice for African Americans to live a better life. Back in 1968, Bill Terrell was also a radio play-by-play announcer for South Carolina State University's football team. He was an on-air announcer and program director at WOIC and WWDM in Columbia. The Fisk and Memphis University educated broadcaster was active in the community on the board of directors of the Columbia Urban League, the Columbia Opportunities Industrial Center, campaign chair for the United Black Fund of the Midlands, Little League coach, and a host for South Carolina United Negro College Fund Telethon. He has been honored for his outstanding achievements, including the South Carolina Black Hall of Fame. He has an Achievement Award for the South Carolina Scholastic Broadcasters, a Brotherhood Award from the National Conference of Christians and Jews, and a Service Award from the Baha'i Faith Religious Organization. He used to say on the show, believe in yourself and prepare yourself to meet life's challenges. Cultivate the positive attitudes and productive skills of each individual. Give people the necessary resources to qualify for opportunities. Try to aid in the development of that which is good and wholesome in each person. This philosophy worked for Bill Terrell, and the message has been heard by thousands of people who watched his television program and listened to him on the radio. William Bill Terrell passed away peacefully. His daughter told me yesterday morning, he is gone, but he will never be forgotten. William Bill Terrell. Were you like me and watched him growing up on Job Man Caravan? Yeah, Angela Carr Patterson said she watched him every week. Bill Terrell will be missed. He was a trailblazer. Yes, he certainly was. And I'm getting a little choked up about that thing. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go over to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox us. We would love to feature your story or initiative on coping with COVID. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwittretailor@gmail.com. copingwittretailor@gmail.com. And we would love to feature you on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. As usual, I'm going to leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. Today is July 16th. And today, Jesus says, self-pity is a slimy, bottomless pit. Once you fill it, you tend to go deeper and deeper in the mire. As you slide down those slippery walls, you are well on your way to depression, and the darkness is profound. Your only hope is to look up and see the light of my presence. Jesus says, it's shining on you. Though the light looks dim from your perspective, which is deep in the pit, those rays of hope can reach you at any depth. While you focus on me, Jesus says, you rise ever so slowly out of the abyss of despair. Finally, you can reach up and grasp my hand. I will pull you out into the light again. I will gently cleanse you, washing off the clinging mire. Jesus says, I will cover you with my righteousness, and walk with you down the path of life. That's your Jesus Calling for today, July 16th. Hey, don't forget next Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, SCDHEC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, In It Together SC, presents Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we're going to talk about water safely. Then Thursday, we'll talk to Conley Ann Ragley with DSS about pandemic SNAP benefits. They're getting ready to end. And City Council candidate Heather Bauer. And then Friday, we'll talk to the Columbia Urban League Young Professionals. They're going to do a Columbia, South Carolina mayoral candidate forum. All that and so much more coming up on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. I thank you so much for watching. Please be careful. Please be safe. Get your vaccine. And you still need to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Peace, y'all.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.